to all those who devoted their lives to aviation. The Wings of Russia studio presents. Wings of Russia documentary. It was time for even more larger aircraft. That's how the AN-22 Antaeus heavy military transport aircraft appeared. The first flight of this giant took place in February 1965. Pilot Yuri Kurlin took this aircraft into the air. AN-22 is the first in the world wide-body and the largest for its time transport aircraft. Thanks to its multiple landing gear with pneumatic pressure control, this aircraft can land on sand and snow-covered airdromes. The maximum takeoff weight of this giant is 225 tons, while the maximum payload is 80 tons. The Soviet Union proudly demonstrated Antaeus at the Le Bourget Aviation Salon, where undoubtedly it was a superstar. Paris International Aviation and Space Salon at Le Bourget. An American B-58 bomber crashed at landing before the eyes of thousands of spectators. This sensational news was forced from the front lines by the appearance at Le Bourget of the world's largest aircraft designed by Oleg Antonov. 41 world records were set on this aircraft. Antaeus became the first aircraft to lift a 100-ton cargo. There it is. The combat power of the military transport aviation. Practically any military equipment which is currently used in the Soviet Army can be loaded into these aircraft. These powerful machines make the basis of the military transport aviation. They can carry not only paratroopers at enormous distances. In the 60s, capabilities of the Soviet transport aviation were several times tested in exact operations. Intensive oil field explorations started in those years. All that was required, tubes and special equipment, was being delivered by transport aircraft. They were also carrying out gold and diamonds from Yakutia. In 1966, an earthquake occurred in Tashkent. The entire nation rushed to help the city on the wings of the transport aviation. Aircraft were delivering armament to many developing countries of Asia and Africa in return for loyalty of their leadership to the Soviet Union. In 1970, a destructive earthquake occurred in Peru. The Soviet Union sent transport aircraft full of hospital equipment and medicine. The route was 17,000 kilometers only one way. The difficulty was that the Soviet military transport aviation had practically no experience of international flights. Besides, the just-commissioned AN-22 had no adequate navigating equipment. And then the Soviet military aircraft had to fly over the territories of their potential enemies, Canada and USA. Therefore, for the sake of conspiracy, AN-22 were painted into the colors of Aeroflot, while the crews were dressed in civil pilot uniform. Transport aircraft made a total of 17 flights to Peru. In the beginning of the 90s, the Antonov Design Bureau developed another transport aircraft, AN-70. But it was unlucky since its development coincided in time with the USSR collapse. AN-70 made its first flight in December 1994. It was supposed to be a joint Russian-Ukrainian project. However, like many other projects of transition period, it was never fulfilled, at least so far.